Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to HOTFIX. Now, Mr. Kirioff, I best introduce Chunks McGee. So if you look over there, you'll see Lady McGee. Now, she is the CEO of Unit Lost,
CEO.
and demanded that she be included on this because we didn't get a guest. If you'd like to be a guest, then email pr@unitlost.com and we'll have a word with you. Anyway. She couldn't be here today, but she forced us to put a picture in of her. If we didn't, we get fired. Although I've already been fired, so I don't really know where this arrangement, how it even
You
works.
can do what you like now. You don't work anymore, so you can do whatever you like. You can ignore chunks.
All right,
Well,
so
I suppose you could try.
Mr. Kirioff, we've had a week, well, a couple of weeks possibly. I think we're going to cover a week and a little bit of gaming because the first thing we're going to go into is, without a shock, H1Z1. Now, there was a very interesting comment left on the YouTube channel on the very popular video that I made, which Machinima stole and kind of credited for me. But then, yeah, it was weird, especially considering our history of Machinima. It was pretty funny that they would
Got
end
more
up taking
promotion
the
out of them from that video than we did in the year we were with them under contract.
video. Yeah. Totally true. Terrible. So, I'll just give you a quick recap. So, 3 days before, okay, so months and months leading up to launch, Sony are always making noise, well, SOE, making loads of noises saying, look, it will not be pay to win. You'll not be able to buy weapons. You'll not be able to buy anything that's going to alter the gameplay drastically. It'll just be kind of cosmetic things and stuff which is not that valuable, okay? Which is fine. However, they then reaffirmed the point 3 days before launch in the live streams because they were doing a lot of live streaming, development streams where they'd get popular people in from Twitch and YouTube and stuff like that and say, oh, check the game out. Everything they're showing off looked pretty good. It looks like, it does look like DayZ. It's got construction in it and it's going to run faster because it's running off the Forge Light engine, which has been fairly refined, although it's still slightly dodgy. But it's a much better engine than whatever the hell DayZ runs in, because that runs at about 10 FPS, whereas this runs at about 120. So there's a bit of a difference there. Anyway, the day of launch comes, Mr. Kirioff, and I'm calling it launch because it really is a launch. Even though they claim it's alpha, it's not really an alpha.
Yeah, not
because
really.
An alpha is something which would, have loads of missing assets. There'd be it would just look terrible. It wouldn't work right. There'd be no animations.
An alpha is essentially what DayZ was like when it launched. There was very minimal stuff in there. It was very light on content.
Even worse,
there wasn't very much to do. Whereas, in actual fact, when I was messing about getting footage for the video that I made, I didn't have any sort of bug or issue or those. It was all just there. I mean, I didn't find anything still because apparently loot is non-existent in the game. But the fact is that it worked. It just hands down worked.
Yeah, but that's all changed now. This is the thing with the game. It keeps changing really quick. But, okay, so 3 days before launch, they say they won't have weapons or anything like that. Game launches. Nobody can get on the servers. That's to be expected. It's an MMO. Although, interestingly, John Smedley doesn't think it's an MMO, but it's okay advertising it as an MMO.
Yeah, it's advertised as MMO.
Anyway, so a streamer, and I think it was called Watermelon something or other, ends up with about 15,000 odd viewers or whatever watching him, right? He was like somebody who nobody's ever heard of before, so why were a lot of people watching him? Well, he was one of the first people to get into I almost called it DayZ, to get into H1Z1. And notice I call that H1Z1 and DayZ. That's because I'm getting killed by advertising. It should be DayZ and H1Z1, but I kind of call that and not Z1, whatever. He bought a airdrop, okay? These are $500 station cash, but I'm going to get that confused as well when I say stuff. Costs $5 to buy this, yeah? So you buy this airdrop and it comes in, okay, if you've seen the video I've put out, if you've not, I'll just quickly explain what it is. A plane flies overhead, drops a crate, that's like a massive container, big parachutes flashing, making noise, hits the ground, and it's got loot because you just paid for the loot. This guy had obviously got weapons in it, so I thought, you know what, I'm going to give this a go, because if this gives me weapons, then this is bullshit, Lo and behold, it gave me weapons. It gave me a pistol and ammunition, right? Which actually got stolen off me, but in my defense, I could have quite just easily ran up to it and looted it, but because I was recording it for a video, I sort of was looking around and doing whatever. But even that raises up another point, why would you pay for a microtransaction that somebody could potentially steal? It seems a bit...
Yeah.
like for me, I don't know whether I'm particularly that fussed because I think, well, you're an idiot for buying the microtransaction in the first place. You know what I mean? So they had weapons in the game that you could buy, which is obviously pay to win because you can go. Or at that time, you could go and buy a fucking weapon, and it could be anything. I mean, this streamer, was getting like assault rifles and God knows what. I mean, I only got a pistol, but hell, we've played enough of this H1Z1 game to know a pistol is fucking powerful at the start of the game because
it's downside better than a stick
and a
which
bow.
Is what you usually end up with. Yeah,
it's like you would be a lot more powerful. So you've paid for power, pay to win. That's the whole point. However, it's been through quite a few little changes, right? So what they've done is they've changed the way the airdrops work, right? No longer do they drop like about 20 meters from you. They can drop a bit further away, okay? And they claim they've got under, I think it might be 10%, I might be misquoting that, but a very low chance of weapons actually spawning in the crates. And a lot of people have been saying, yeah, I buy a crate and it just has a piece of metal in it and a bit of gauze, which for $5 you've been totally ripped off. But it's kind of like a gamble, I guess. So some people have been calling it gamble to win, but whatever. However, the interesting fact is, Smedley goes onto Reddit, okay, onto the subreddit, which I can kind of just show you if I go here, okay, and I'll tell you about my background in a minute because that's a funny story. Like you see a lot of posts here relating to John Smedley on Twitter. John Smedley said this. He comes in, and I mean, this is essentially the official community for the game. They don't have like forums or anything for the game. It's just all done through Reddit. All right, let me just change back. So he turns up and he says, look, there's going to be weapons in, so if you don't like that, then just don't play the game. Now, the game's already launched, and 3 days before, they are saying there will be no weapons, and suddenly there are weapons in the game. Now, I'm going to let you come in, Mr. Kirioff, because I know that you made a very good video on why this is the case, why they have to... I mean, we'll just go into it. How the hell could they make money off this game if they're not selling you weapons?
Well, this is the thing. They've essentially created a stupid business model for this game where they can either make it truly free to play, which means you shouldn't have to buy anything. So all the loot that you need to survive is already in the game, and you can find it by running about, which by most accounts and from what people have said on your video is actually the case. People talk about how, oh, well, I've never bought anything, but I've found all the guns in the game, I've done this and that. Okay, that's fine, that's great. It is truly free to play if that's true. But at the same time, in a game that relies on...
My video was made as the game came out, okay? So they can change things really fast. So they've changed a lot of stuff. But the reason why I left the video up is because the video, that's kind of part of history of the game now. It was relevant at the time, and it highlights the fact that they said there would be no weapons, and then there turned out to be weapons. It's very easy to obtain them for money because they need to monetize the game. And then they said, well, hang on a minute, weapons are just going to be, and you don't like it, then piss off. What? You were telling us before that wouldn't be the case. Anyway, carry on.
And so you're kind of left in this thing where if the game is truly free to play, you should be able to get everything you need to survive. That's great, because that would mean it is actually free to play. But on the other hand, a free to play game where there's no need to buy microtransactions is going to fail because, well, no one will buy any microtransactions. So what do? You've got to put microtransactions in, which means that you may have to make it so that it's not properly free to play, because you'd need to put loot in the crates for people to buy them, otherwise no one would, and therefore your game would fail. And that leads to kind of two states. Either the game makes no money and it fails, or everyone goes, this is bullshit, I have to pay to survive, which is not really the point of a survival game. So I'm leaving, in which case the game fails. Now, people have pointed out, someone made a really big, long reply to my video saying, actually, the microtransactions are more to do with these other game modes they're doing. So they're adding other game modes in. There's something in their own called Battle Royale.
Yeah.
And he said, this is why there's microtransactions. Because that way, people buy access, they buy a key to get into Battle Royale, and if you do well in Battle Royale, if you win, then you get a crate, and then you need to pay for a key to open the crate.
Yeah.
Which is, either cosmetic or whatever. Now, that's fine, but they also brought up a very interesting point that actually kind of defeated their argument to begin with, because my whole thing in the video was, they should just be charging for the game. That's all they should do. All they need to do to be more successful than other competitors in the market is have a better game. And I know that's sort of easy to say, but if you think about it, DayZ's still in early access, and it is years from release. I mean, they're not even going to go into beta until this year, so that's still how much longer development has that game got? You've got Survivor Stories, Infestation Survivor Stories, that terrible The War Z game that got completely slammed. No one plays it, and it's got nothing but negative reviews. And there's another one that I cannot remember the name of because I've never heard of it before, that again is in early access.
Yeah.
So against the competition, all you got to do is bring it out sooner, make it easier to play, and make it cheaper. And they can do that because they've already got the game.
They already have.
You know, in a perfectly playable state.
Yeah, so the game runs fine. The game runs fine, okay? From what I've seen, a lot of the mechanics seem totally fine. Oh, well, much better than DayZ. You know, way better. Like, it obliterates that game in every kind of way, really, in that respect.
Yeah, and the thing with having different game modes is that I'd say for a start, a lot of people are not playing a zombie survival game so that they can have a battle royale. That does not seem to be the same part of the same genre in my mind. I mean, people might disagree with that, but I don't see people playing DayZ because they want to have a battle royale. Do you know what I mean? And if that was the case, again, this guy said people buy Arma 3, for instance, because there's a mod called Battle Royale.
Yeah.
That sounded very familiar because I was like, well, why did people buy Arma 2? They played the DayZ mod. So it's the same thing. And yet DayZ has gone on to become its own standalone game that has an upfront retail cost, and that's it. People are buying, apparently, Arma 3 to play Battle Royale. Well, that's fine, but they've just paid a retail price for a game mode that it might not have been part of the game when it came out, but is a mod for the game. So the argument's just defeated itself. It's not a clever way to deal with the dilemma. You should just pay retail, and if they want to keep the game growing, if they want the community to grow, what you do is you take the money, right, and you improve the game so more people play it and more people buy it and more people talk about it. You don't need microtransactions because
take it back to the gamble. Take it back to the gamble. Battle Royale.
It just muddies the waters.
They're a gamble. The airdrop is a gamble. You might die immediately in Battle Royale. Then what the fucking hell? You know, well, you're dead. I mean, because I guess everyone knows what Battle Royale is, but if you don't, it's just like let's just say 20 people, any number, it doesn't matter. Spawn on an island. Whoever's left basically wins the game or whatever, and generally the map gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and then to force people to fight, and that's what it is. Okay.
Yeah.
It's got an Arma. I guess a lot of people have seen Lyric streams where he does the Arma 3 Battle Royale mod, and it looks pretty fun and whatever. But as you say, if they're going to play DayZ, they're playing it for the survival aspect. They're not playing it for a Battle Royale aspect. However, I know Sony have taken on the guy who actually made the Battle Royale mod for Arma 3. He is like an advisor for H1Z1 because they want the Battle Royale mode. So probably just a marketing move so they can go, oh yeah, we got the guy who made that so people jump in. But let's look at how much it actually costs at the moment to get into H1Z1. And I'm gonna bring it up because just for the record, we have not paid for the game. They sent us the game.
Yeah.
As most games are just sent to us anyway. It's just how it is. Let me see if I can just find it on Steam.
I believe it. Well, I know it's £14.99 in pounds. In pounds sterling.
Well, yeah, I'm just going to change the screen.
Currency.
Yeah, we're going to see it in pounds because obviously I'm in the UK. So, yeah, we've got... Apparently, as PewDiePie recommended it, great. So you can buy the normal one, okay, which gives you 3 event tickets. So that could be, let's just say 3 Battle Royale tickets, 2 crates, and a crate key, okay? Or you get the premium edition, which is what I believe we've been given, which is $29.99. Has got like airdrop tickets, crates... although it didn't, no, it couldn't have been because I had to pay station cash for my airdrop and other stuff. So it must have just been the normal one we got. Okay, so they are charging for this game, right? They're charging for it. It's a free-to-play game, which is very close to the end of its development in terms of the actual like mechanics of the game, the look of the game, and all of that stuff. A lot of this stuff they change. Are just things that just sort of. I'm going to simplify this a lot, and if anybody is a game dev out there, they're probably going to be like, what the fuck's that? But they're just simply changing values in spreadsheets, right? If you want something to not spawn 20 meters from a player, then where it says 20, you change it to 200, and then it spawns in that radius. That's the kind of thing they're doing. It's not. It's more like little balances and refinements. The base game is already there. So they then say it's an alpha, and then sell access to the game, right? So you go out and you pay your money for the game. So you've actually bought the game. This is Kiri's argument, and like I support this. The game should just be buy the game and that's it. But
yeah, it should just be.
They
retail.
want both. It's like it is retail at the moment, but also it's microtransactions as well, guys. Because we're Sony Online Entertainment, and we seem to be obsessed with free-to-play microtransaction game model because
the thing is as well,
you know.
They're saying it's not retail as well because they're saying, well, actually, what you get is this, this, and this. It's still retail. It's still it's still a barrier of entry.
Yeah.
You know, you've still got to pay that price to get into the game, which means that you're charging a retail price.
And I've got to stress again, we did not pay for this. So, like, why would we care? You know, I've seen comments on the video I made and you made, people going, haha, they're just sad because they've paid money on the game. No, we got the fucking game sent for free.
But if we, yeah, I mean that kind of attitude is just. As a YouTube channel, we are incredibly lucky in that we get sent games, but also in a way we're incredibly unlucky because, frankly, some of the games we play piss us off because they're blatantly unfair. They're blatantly being used not for the sake of creating a good game, but for the sake of creating something that is designed to make money, which is what H1Z1 feels like. But the thing is, the way they're making money doesn't even make any sense to begin with. And you know what? Honestly,
hang on. I'm picking you up on that point because it's a very good point. They only do things to make money. Now, I know they're a business, and that's fine. But all they've done is gone, okay, free-to-play makes a load of money. Look at League of Legends. DayZ makes a load of money, so let's put them both together. That's all they've done. That is all they've done. Yeah. And their first initial decision has been, let's make a zombie game, survival game, that's free-to-play. It's going to make us a lot of money. And then they've started making the game. They haven't actually gone out and thought, oh, let's reinvent the genre. Let's do something revolutionary. No, they are just doing it to make money. And
there are aspects of that make it even more problematic for me because it's, for a start, the whole system of microtransactions in H1Z1, it's a zombie survival game, right? The clue's in the name, survival.
Yeah.
The fact that you can somehow just pick up just a magical radio transmitter and some guy flies a plane to you and dumps a crate of shit at you. I mean, I'm sorry, but I know a lot of people have read World War Z and, there's a bit of infrastructure left. But I don't think every survivor in the world has got access to a fucking radio to just call some random guy in a plane to drop them off some shit. Like, that does not say to me this is a well thought out game. And it doesn't introduce any sort of atmosphere to it either, because how exactly are you supposed to be, fighting for your life and scared for your life in a world overrun by zombies if you know that there's someone with a fucking working airbase within 3 minutes of you?
Yeah. It destroys the immersion completely.
Yeah, it's just totally stupid.
Compare it back to DayZ again. DayZ, you spawn on the coast, right? You spawn, and it's kind of like eerie, and it looks desolate, and it's like, whoa, okay. And
you've washed up on the coast, haven't you? You've got no equipment. You don't know what's happened to you. You've
got a flashlight
on the beach.
Well, you had a flashlight and a tin of beans. I don't know if you still get that, but yeah, you get this feeling of like, holy shit, I need to survive. I never once got that with hate because I just spawned, and a guy spawned next to me and started punching me in the head, and I'm like, okay. So the first 4 hours of gameplay is literally, as soon as somebody sees someone, they just attack them straight away, and it's like, this is going to happen a lot because the game's free to play. When it goes free to play properly, anybody will download it, and again, they'll have a load of problem with cheaters and hackers, which they've been making a big fuss about on the Reddit, saying, oh yeah, we've banned 200 people. They could just be saying this, whatever. But I've got another issue with Sony as well. Well, not with Sony, but with Sony Online Entertainment. EverQuest Landmark, right? What game made a load of money? Minecraft. What games make a load of money? MMOs. What games also make a load of money? Free-to-play games. So all they've done there is put 3 elements together again for that, okay? EverQuest Next, or whatever the hell they end up calling that, I still don't know enough about that to comment on it. We don't know enough, so, okay, maybe that could be decent, whatever. But if you go back a bit further, there was a game called Free Realms, okay? This was a children's MMO, right? Now, again, this to me stinks of like, there's a gap in the market. Now, I'm not saying this is bad, because you obviously, as a business, you need to identify gaps in the market and fill them in and do stuff like that. But they've gone and they've looked and they've gone like, you know what? MMOs make a lot of money, because this was like 2007, maybe 2008, something like that. What sector of the MMO market isn't actually cornered at the moment? Oh, kids will play an MMO, won't they? So let's make a children-focused MMO. And I think they also had a Star Wars one or something, like a kids Star Wars version, and they like various like free-to-play kind of elements in them and stuff like that. And of course, they turned EverQuest and EverQuest 2 into free-to-play games as well. But that's probably because they were much old games and they sort of were, I guess you could say, dying off to some degree, and they're not really going to get a load of box sales. So it made sense in that regard. But with H1Z1, the issues I've got with the game is, I know that it is not entirely pay to win right now, okay? But there is still a chance you can get weapons and stuff like that. A lot of the time, if you drop in a airdrop, a lot of people will get attracted to it, and there'll be a big fight around it, which is pretty fun, don't get me wrong, and somebody will get away with it, okay? That's great. Who knows what they've found? But it just, to me, it just hits me time and time again as a cash grab. You see people moaning and saying, well, just make any old shitty zombie survival game, you'll be the best seller on Steam, and away you go. And really all they've done. When all Kiri said, all they had to do was just turn up. They could have cloned the fuck out of DayZ, charged $39.99 for it, but give you something that, like this H1Z1 runs at 120 odd FPS on my rig. Amazing performance. I haven't really had that much lag either. Bang, there you go. And everybody would be like, shit, and they go straight on it. But instead, no, it's, I'm going to just fucking say it, typical Sony Online Entertainment. We need to make as much money as we can, blah, blah.
Even then, clearly, enough people are interested in the game, even in early access, even though it's not really early access, to pay 15 quid for it. Now, if they wanted a retail release, why don't they price it just below DayZ? So 20 quid. DayZ has been in the Steam top sellers list forever, pretty much. Yeah. Since it was released standalone, it's been there, it's been present all the goddamn time. And H1Z1 overtook it and demoted it the week it was released. Now, to me, that doesn't say, shit, we need microtransactions. That says to me, oh, well, in that case, we'll charge 20 quid for it, and we'll just keep working on it whilst it's in the Steam bestsellers list. Which it will be, because it's already further along. It's already further developed. It runs better. It plays better. All they need to do is sort out the size of the map, which is a bit small, where you spawn, and do something about, you know, like loot drops and how frequently they happen. And suddenly, you've got a game that is in a better place than DayZ right now for slightly cheaper. And people will fucking buy it. They'll buy it all day long. They'll play it. Then they'll play Battle Royale. DayZ? Then they'll go out and tell other people. That's all you need. And yet they muddy it. They make it so that it's like, is it pay to win? Is it free to play? We don't know. You need to buy this. You need to buy that. There's no barrier into the game. But actually, there could be a barrier into the game if you want to get the right loot. Just charge a retail release and make a game that has no confusion in it. That is just a straight-laced zombie survival game with some extra game modes. That's all they need, but they don't do it.
Which is the reason DayZ sells loads, because it is literally the only zombie survival game like that where you buy it, you're thrown out into a world, go and deal with it, and that is it. I know it's fucking janky and laggy and whatever, but it's the best experience you can get for that, right? I know there are other games, but they all do different little things, and obviously the worst one, I mean, like, War Z is the worst one, but H1Z1 is like, it's very shady. Like, my big problems are, it's kind of very shady sort of business practices going on. They know they need to put weapons in, so they put them in. They've always intended to put them in. It isn't like a mistake. Oh, but we'll just go with it. No, it's always been intended, yet they've lied about it, and I don't like that. It's like, you're leading people on. And another thing, before we get off this subject, is they offered refunds for the weekend when it launched. They're like, if you don't like the game, we've set it up so you can get an automatic refund through Steam. And they were going on as if this was some sort of great, you know, thing for them to do. Oh yeah, wow, they really understand us. Now, if you buy anything and it's a piece of shit and you've been lied to, like we've used this example before and time again on HOTFIX, but if you went and fucking bought a red car and it turned up blue, you'd be like, what the fuck, I want the red car. You'd send it back. And I'm getting a phone call, so one moment.
That is true, though. We've said before that entitlement's used way too often when it comes to gaming, but the fact of the matter is that if you've been sold a product that is in some way faulty, has been misrepresented, that doesn't, even if it just doesn't live up to your expectations. When I bought my car, they were like, okay, if you have any problems, if there's something you don't like about it, if something happens, then come back to us and we'll look at replacing it. And that, I mean, that's a fucking car. There's a damn sight more effort involved in sorting out a goddamn car than there is in giving you a refund on your software. And yet somehow SOE are like, oh, this is an amazing thing. Admittedly, not a lot of companies are willing to provide just refunds straight off the bat, but they all should. Like, they really all should do that, because that's kind of terrible that they don't to begin with. But you also shouldn't make a song and dance about it. Shouldn't make it look like it's some sort of amazing thing to offer a refund, because it should be, you know, basically open to everyone for everything all the time. I know games companies don't like it when people say that, but tough shit. I mean, Jesus Christ, if I could have got a refund for Aliens Colonial Marines, which I never got, by the way. I did try, never got it. Still crushing. I mean, think about Duke Nukem as well. Duke Nukem, the whatever it was, the latest one. Was it Forever? That was so shit. That should have been offered refunds. And yet, probably not for most people.
Could you hear me talking? Probably not. It was an important phone call.
International man of mystery.
Yeah, no, it was an important phone call. Just bad time that it turned around. Anyway, that's fine. So, yeah, fucking let's get off H1Z1. So the next thing we've got is we're going full screen, Mr. Kirioff. In fact, I'm gonna explain what the hell has happened to my fucking desktop. So my desktop is this massive Adobe Photoshop. Well, I've got 3 monitors, so there's like all 3 of them have got this on, so it looks stupid. Adobe Photoshop CS6 could not complete your request because its unknown or invalid JPEG marker type has been found. This is because, right, me and Kiri send pictures to each other in Skype, right? But because we're logged into Skype on our iPads and shit, Skype doesn't. It like stores the image in the cloud and destroys the image because it's just terrible. And then oh god, you can't use it.
And then it sticks it in a stupid media cache folder.
Yeah, it's just shit. So
which means you got to faff about with it.
Yeah, but what happened was I right-clicked on the image to open location, but I actually clicked set as desktop because that's just above open location. That's why it's my desktop. So that's the story. So it was shit, but there you go.
Amazing desktop though.
All right, so what we've got here is Elder Scrolls Online drops subscription. So
raise your hands if you're surprised that Elder Scrolls Online is dropping subscription.
So yeah, I'm just going to show you the picture, and we're going to go back to our face because I don't really need to. We don't need to see that because what they're doing is they are dropping subscription, and you still need to buy the game. So it's like a Guild Wars 2 system, where you buy the box and then you get the game, and there'll be microtransactions in. There's no details at the moment what the microtransactions are. So there are a few different ways this can go. Now, you could go the Star Wars: The Old Republic way, which has been a success for EA. Considering when Star Wars: The Old Republic launched, it sold a shitload of boxes. I mean, I've got 2 boxes of it here, but it was Star Wars. It's going to sell, isn't it? But then it was a bit crap because it wasn't really an MMO, was it, Kiri? It was just like a single player. It was weird.
It's like a multiplayer RPG. Well, a single player RPG that allowed 2 people at a time because you never really saw anybody else ever.
Yeah, so a bit dodgy. But they then. It started to fail, you know. The sales started to collapse because, like, after the first month, everybody left. They couldn't afford to keep the game going. Blah blah blah. They spent like hundreds of millions making the game. It's a really expensive game to make. And then they went free to play. But their way of going free to play is very kind of dodgy because it's free to play, but you can still play a monthly subscription. If you pay that, then you get access to the full game. But if you don't, listen. And then there's some other shit you can buy as well. But it's things like they restrict hot bars. So you get 1 hot bar, but do you want to open the other one? Well, that'll be $5. Do you want to have a bit more bag space? That's how they do it. And it's like, it sounds laughable.
Jesus Christ.
But apparently it's been quite successful. And I know people who play it quite a lot and enjoy the game. And I'm tempted to go and check it out again myself. So they either go that way, right? Where they just totally nickel and dime every aspect of the game. Do you want to look at the map? Well, that'll be $10. Do you want to look at this? Do you want to look at, really take the piss. Restrict races, which I think they already did anyway, didn't they? I think they did. What wasn't the Imperial or something?
Yeah, there was. Oh God, what was it? One of them was only a pre-order race. I seem to remember.
I think I'm sure
you had to pre-order to unlock the race. The
main
you couldn't
race
be them
from Cyrodiil. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I'm in no way surprised. I don't think anyone in the world is in any way surprised because even as the game was coming up to launch, people were like, "Are you sure you want to do subscription for this thing?" And they were like, "Yeah, it'll absolutely work." And people were going, "Really? Are you 100% certain? Well, look at the track history." And they went, "Yeah, it'll be fine." It's like, no, it's not going to be fine. There's only really 2 MMOs that can still maintain subscriptions, ain't there? There's EVE Online and there's World of Warcraft. EVE Online has got a very specialist kind of niche market. It's got a stranglehold on a section of gaming that there was never really anything there to begin with. So they've come in and they've taken that, and no one else is going to shift them because it's the only game like it that you can play. So they've kind of got a hold on that. And also, you can pay the subscription with in-game money anyway. You know, if you're playing it that much, the chances are you'll be able to pay for your game time without even spending real money. So it's subscription-based, but it also rewards people who play by allowing them to essentially not pay the subscription. And the other one's WoW, which can do it simply because it's so fucking massive. WoW. That's the only reason. There's no other reason as to why it can manage it. It's just because it's still got millions of people. So and even they still put microtransactions in. So
I know, but they're whatever. They're special case. So what it does say is they so you'll need to buy the game, right, for the Elder Scrolls Online, and then you get access to everything that's in the game at the moment, right, and you can play it forever. Well, until they shut the servers down because they don't make enough money. In fairness,
that's not bad.
No, that's not bad, right? It doesn't say anything about stupid nickel and dime shit, but then it says dedicated fans have got the option for an Elder Scrolls Online Plus membership, which is available in 30, 90, and 180-day duration. So this is a subscription, right? And this will offer access to all future DLC, which Bethesda said will consist of game packs and optional adventure content, like zones and quests, right? So it will also. Oh, hang on. I don't know what I was looking at here because it says it all on this screen here. So it says ESO memberships will also provide character progression bonuses, an allotment of crowns, the new in-game currency that will be used to purchase convenience and customization items like pets and mounts, as well as the aforementioned DLC, which will be available separately from ESO Plus memberships. Okay, currently to blah 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 blah. Okay, so whatever. So it looks like what they're doing is, if you're a member at the moment, you can keep your sub, and we'll just give you all the expansions for free that we come up with. How good these expansions will be, we don't know. Probably won't be that good because they've had to have cut the team down because the game was.
Well,
I mean, hell, the whole idea of Elder Scrolls Online and the mechanics of the game is very 2007. You know, even if it came out in 2007, you'd be saying this is a WoW clone, which it is. It's just an Elder Scrolls WoW clone. There's nothing really new about it, and for it to come out last year was like, this must be a joke. You know, this is, or did it come out in 2013? I don't know. Whenever it came out, it was like, this is something from a bygone era. It's not going to do very well. It's cost a shitload again to make, and I'm afraid it was just a case, in my eyes, of ZeniMax just going, well, we want an MMO that makes money. Look how much money Skyrim's made. Skyrim's made insane money. Well,
yeah,
okay, but like every fucking Skyrim player will tell you, why don't you just give us a multiplayer Skyrim? Or some sort of, you know, why didn't they...
A multiplayer Elder Scrolls game, not a fucking MMO, just a multiplayer. Yeah. That would destroy everything for sales for a significant amount of time. I mean, we'd be all over that shit instantly, wouldn't we?
Oh yeah,
and most people
easy.
Would. Like all the mental stuff that can happen in an Elder Scrolls game, but you can do it with your mate. I mean, everyone would go for that. They didn't need to do an MMO, but they tried to make it. I think essentially they were like, well, the best way to approach this is just to make it as big and bold and impressive as possible. But that's not really the way to get frankly, it's not the way to get sales, because you've got to do something that people are interested in. If you're not starting with an idea that people are interested in, the chances are that it's not going to do that well. And frankly, no one is interested in generic fantasy MMO number 952. They don't care, right? The fact that it's got the Elder Scrolls attached to it doesn't really mean anything, because all you've done is you've taken the races.
This is it, though. It did. Because what happened with the game was, as soon as people started playing the beta, they were like, holy shit, is this what the game's actually like? It's really bad. It's like, what? Like, the Elder Scrolls thing drew people in, so it's like, holy shit. You know, I remember I got access through, like, a guy who knew a guy and some kind of guy who knew a guy. It was like, oh, yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. Although I obviously followed the development, which didn't seem too bad. Like, you know, they would talk about their quest systems, their fancy servers and all this stuff. It's like, well, okay, this could be fairly interesting.
Yeah.
But when people got on the beta, it was like, this can't be right. You know, surely this can't be right. Because it's like, it was really, like, it wasn't shit. And like, for me to sit here and say it was a bad game ain't fair. It was just a very old game for the year it came out in, and everybody's already done that, and you're not gonna. It would be like going back to, you know, if an MMO came out now and it had the mechanics of like early WoW or EverQuest 2, or even the mechanics they've got now. Well, in fact, WoW's kind of changed. EverQuest 2 not so much, but you would be like, this is pretty boring. You know, it's just your standard hotkey MMO, and you're standing there hitting. I mean, they had the dodge mechanic. Well, this was the other thing as well. They had the dodge mechanic, but it was really shit. When you had games like WildStar, which had a much more involved combat system, which looked and actually does play pretty well. Although WildStar's got its own problems, but and that'll probably be going free to play next. But yeah, this is no shock. I mean, I sat there and said this game will go free to play because
yeah. The problem is that nearly everyone except for the developers said that. Like, nearly everyone was like, guys, this game has got to be free to play, and he went, no, subscription, no free to play, and then it just collapsed. And it's, well, you made a game that would have been at home in about 2007, probably 2006 if we're honest, and it's not that interesting. Only the name is interesting. Only the setting is interesting. The game itself, we've seen it all before. We've literally seen all of it before. It's a
replica of Star Wars: The Old Republic, ain't it? It's a total replica. It's like, we've got a really good name, we've got a good IP, let's throw it out there. We get massive sales day one, and then we lose all our subs because our game isn't good enough to hold them. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
guess they're hoping that they go the way of Star Wars: The Old Republic and become this successful MMO off the back of the free to play. Because there's a lot of people are kind of a bit delusional when it comes to what's a successful MMO, because they look at WoW's numbers and they're like, well, WoW's got
Yeah,
like
that's
9 million paying subs or whatever the hell it's got at the moment. Which, you know, it had a big bump when Warlords of Draenor came out, and rightfully so. Me and you played that; it was quite enjoyable. That's fine.
yeah.
But people look at that and they're like, well, you know, if your MMO's only got 200,000 subs, then shit, it's not worth it. But hold on a minute, 200,000 times $15 a month. That's a lot of cash, really. And you don't need this insanely big team like Blizzard have got, because their game's so big. So you can run games with much smaller teams. Games like Star Wars: The Old Republic, I would imagine, had a massive team with the development, and then when it launched, kept that team. Their numbers collapsed, and they were like, what's going on? And then it's really shrunk down to this free-to-play element, which is, I'm guessing, exactly what's happened here. It has to happen, because it's all about money.
This is kind of one, in a way, this is something that's World of Warcraft has, in a way, really negatively affected the MMO genre, just because every MMO that comes out, it's like, how is it doing? Well, it's nowhere near as popular as WoW. I think at this point, people need to start realising that, actually, I don't think anything is going to be as popular as WoW. WoW had the jump. WoW had the jump on pretty much every MMO going. They had a combination of all the best bits from other MMOs, and they managed to make it, over the course of its life, which is obviously still going and will be going for God knows how long, accessible to everybody, right? They just got the right formula. And the people who started playing it just kept playing it because it kept producing what they wanted to play. It's the same thing as if, like, I mean, it's like comparing, say, Elite Dangerous to Eve. I mean, Eve has been around for longer. It's got a more established user base. It's got its grip firmly on that part of the market. Just because Elite Dangerous doesn't have, say for Elite Dangerous has half the number of people online of Eve at any given time, that doesn't make it any less of a success. It's still a successful game. It's still doing well and it's still earning money. It's just not as big as another game. It's like the comparison doesn't need to be made every time. If ESO can do well as free to play, fantastic. But it's never going to be as big as WoW, because I'm telling you now, and I've said it before, nothing, right? I don't think at this stage is going to be as big as WoW.
Well, no,
the
hang
market's
on.
too crowded. There's too much interest from different parties, and there are too many games for one to overtake everything. To take on something that's already established.
That's in the fantasy MMO market, right? Nothing will ever beat WoW. I totally agree. But there are games that destroy WoW. You know, we know the games like League of Legends, Dota, whatever, they wreck WoW for user base. Maybe not income, because WoW still makes the most money.
Oh yeah.
But you know, there are a lot of really popular games out there. Like using Elite and Eve as a comparison, it's kind of interesting as well, because you could say they're both space based, but they both offer a different type of experience. Whereas Eve is more about management, and Elite's more about flying around. You know, when Star Citizen comes out with Elite, that'll be a bit of a fight, which. Well, I mean, Star Citizen's already won it, and the game hasn't even launched. You know, if you want to talk about how much money they've made, I mean, what's the face was going on about? He's going to make 100 million. It'll be over 100 million this year, easy or something. It's just like, I
can't remember what it was. It was some mental number.
I think it was like Chris Roberts is like over 100 million or something he was saying. But it's not really a shock that this has gone free to play, and you know, part of me hopes that it does okay. I won't be playing it.
That's the other thing as well. I doubt I'll try it. But some people seem to think that if a game doesn't do well, or if the developers, you know, overestimate what they can do in terms of earning money off it or establishing a player base, that it deserves to fail. I've never been the kind of person who's like, yeah, well, I hope because they made that mistake a year ago, it doesn't succeed. I hope it keeps going, because for pretty much all games, there's going to be a core of people who enjoy it. And if those people can continue playing the game that they've, you know, already sunk a lot of time into and enjoy playing, then, you know, it'd be good if they still had that experience. But I think they definitely could have avoided this whole thing if they'd been a bit more. I guess if they'd looked a bit harder at what they were doing at the time, or at least tried to. I don't know. It just seems like it might have been avoidable, because
it would nice to be a fly on the wall, wouldn't it? It would nice to see like what actually went down there, because it does just look like the money men have just gone, hey, look, Skyrim makes a load of money, let's make an MMO, it'll make loads of money, you know, that type of shit going on. Like with developers and stuff coming back and changing games radically and fixing issues, I'm fine with that. You might be thinking, well, Sty, how can you be fine with that if you just slated H1Z1 for kind of doing the same thing? Like, my issue with that is they clearly stated they would not have pay weapons and shit, and then suddenly they've got it, and then fuck off, deal with it attitude comes out as it launches. It's shady, because you know, you think of average Joe Blogs on the street who plays DayZ, yeah? I know a few people who play quite a lot of DayZ, yeah? If they are like, oh, all right, there's going to be a new game from Sony, right? You've got to buy the access to the alpha, but there's going to be no pay-to-win element. And they've said this all the way through development. Loads of news. There was a big picture on Reddit which showed every single example of every time they mentioned it and all this shit. You'd be like, well, I know they would be like, for a fact, hell, I'd be like this. I'm going to pick this game up. I pick the game up, and then I find out within a matter of hours you can buy weapons. I'm going to lose my rag. And then Sony go, well, we're just going to reduce the rate, but we're going to keep it. Again, that's not fixing it. That is being dickish and trying to make as much money as possible off what are blatant lies. That's my problem there. Whereas with ESO, if they could go back and somehow fix all of the major issues of the game, which I don't know what the major issues with the game are. All I can say is I thought the game was too generic. Like, the issues I've got with the game can never be fixed because I have to make a new game. They're not going to do that, you know?
Yeah.
But think about it this way. Star Wars The Old Republic, that kind of was the same thing. But I've just said, you know, a matter of minutes ago that I am kind of like want to jump in that and just see what it's about. But because it's free to play, I can do it, and there's no stress. And if I do like it, well, yeah, I can pay. Because the thing with WoW is like everybody gets it every now and again. Shit, I want to drop a month sub on WoW, and I want to, you know, check what's going on. You put your sub down, you feel guilty, you look around, you fucking log off. You've wasted your money, and it's like shit. Whereas if you could just pick the game up and try it for a little bit, oh, hey, this is decent. If the game's good enough to keep you in, then you start paying money. Admittedly, it's much harder to do. So you need a much better game. But yeah, it is no shock to me, Mr. Kirioff, that this is now free to play. Also, the console release, which was supposed to come out as the game did, still hasn't come out and is apparently coming out whenever this is free to play or something. That's as much as I know.
Still not,
Google it.
I'm still not sure how it's going to work on console, but I mean, if they can make it work, power to them. But
I don't think it'll do very well. Again, it's the Skyrim thing, isn't it? You know, all these people who are sitting in their rooms and God knows what playing Skyrim on their 360. You know, why isn't there'll probably be a fucking Skyrim HD pack?
You tell me, there's got to be. There's got to be an upgrade to the current gen.
It'll be the legendary edition, won't it? And it'll just be.
I mean, they've done it. They've done it with Saints Row 4. So why wouldn't they do it? They've got to do it with Skyrim, surely, or just make a new game. Hint.
They probably are.
They
probably are.
Just as acceptable.
In fact, I know they are.
I wonder if it's going to have the usual comedy of areas with bugs, like going through a door and appearing on the side of a mountain. It's my favourite part of those games.
Yeah, it won't matter. Elder Scrolls always do well, and I always enjoy playing. Yeah. I even go back and play Morrowind every now and again, especially with the crazy mods. But all right, so the next thing we've got, Mr. Kirioff, I'm going to go full screen. Booyah! You've probably already seen this if you can read tabs. But
I'm ready to read a section of this out because they've written it exactly how I would have written it, which is
I've got a
prevents me having to write it down.
I'm not on the website you're on, which I believe you're on. Eurogamer. Yeah, well, you can read your little bit out, but then I've got a chart which shows you all the prices together. So go, Mr. Kirioff, go.
Excellent. Okay, so this is the Evolve's ridiculous DLC plan, which I have to say, the Eurogamer article, this is exactly how I would have done it. So I like this article. Wesley wrote it. Props to that lad. So let's start at the top. Evolve's Hunting Season Pass includes 4 new playable hunter characters, 1 in each class to be released this spring, and 3 exclusive monster skins. Available when the game launches on the 10th of February. 2K said the Evolve Hunting Season Pass contains £26 worth of content for £20. I'm rounding up. It's like 99p on the air. You can buy 4 playable hunter characters individually outside the season pass for £6.20. A full digital pre-purchase of Evolve costs £55. Now those who plan to buy the Hunting Season Pass can also buy the Evolve Digital Deluxe Edition, which includes the Evolve main game as well as the Hunting Season Pass for a greater savings value. The Evolve Digital Deluxe Edition is available for pre-purchase now as a download for Xbox One and PC, and it'll be available soon for PlayStation 4. The Evolve Digital Deluxe Edition costs £71 on Xbox One, which means you save £4. Also, if you pre-purchase Evolve on Xbox One, you automatically unlock a number of characters you'd otherwise have to grind for. Now, the Evolve PC Monster Race Edition, fuck you for that, by the way, idiots, that's a terrible name, is available to pre-purchase now and includes even more content and savings. It includes the Evolve main game, the Evolve Hunting Season Pass, and additional content when it becomes available after launch. That includes the unannounced 5th playable monster, 2 additional playable hunter characters, and 4 monster skins exclusive to those who buy the Evolve PC Monster Race Edition.
Please just stop. I fucking lost where you are on the page. Fuck the page. Right. So what Mr. Kirov just said, I've got in a little graph. So okay.
And the thing is, it goes on as well. I won't, but it does. It goes on. It's terrible. It's just ridiculous. It's like, what?
Right.
What
So
does this even mean?
we've got edition standard, right? Price, this is in dollars. $59.99. 12 maps, 12 hunters, 3 monsters, no monster skins. Pre-order, $59.99. Same price as standard. 12 maps, 12 hunters, 4 monsters, and 1 skin. So you get an extra monster and an extra skin if you pre-order for the same price as the normal edition. So they really want pre-orders. Digital Deluxe, $79.99. 12 maps, 16 hunters, 4 with Season Pass, 4 monsters, 1 from the pre-order, so that's the same, and then 4 monster skins, so you get 3 with the Digital Deluxe over the previous one. Then PC Monster Race, $99.99. 12 maps, so everyone gets the same maps. 18 hunters, 4 season pass and 2 DLC, 5 monsters, 8 monster skins. 1 is the pre-order, 3 from the season pass, and 4 are timed exclusives, so you don't even get them when you buy the thing. Then DLC, Monster Expansion Pack, $14.99. No maps, no hunters, 1 monster and 1 monster skin. Season Pass, $24.99. No maps, 4 hunters, 3 monster skins. And the guy's made a couple of notes. He says the 4th monster skin, and there's a bit of off, will be available as pre-order DLC. Evolve is going to be released on October. It was originally going to be released last year, but then it's been delayed to February this year. And yeah. So just try and erase that from your mind, ladies and gentlemen, while I just talk to you about Evolve, because Evolve is going to be one of the biggest capitulations of the year, in my opinion, because it's a really boring game. So Evolve, the concept Evolve is there's a monster which evolves as the game goes on, and there's 4 hunters who chase the monster down and kill it, and or the monster kills them. And each of the hunters have got like a different class. It's got some nice little quirks, like when the maps start, you're in like a dropship and you jump out. If you're the humans, like you run after the monster and it kind of gets a head start, and it has to like play differently as it goes through the different stages of evolution. It's fun for 2-3 games, and then it's the same thing every time as people work out the most efficient way to kill the monster immediately, or the monster knows that, well, for me to survive, I just run around the outskirts of the map for 20 minutes. And then you're like,
and
well,
I gather as well that if you go after the monster individually, like you need to stick together. If you go after the monster individually or split up, it will kill you. Yeah. So you're forced to work as a team, which on the one hand is good, but it also means that anywhere that the 4 hunters are the monster just needs to not be there, and it's fine.
And
which is a bit of a problem.
People just run off. Like when I was playing through the betas, a guy will just run off, and you're like, "Hang on a minute, where are you going?" And they just like don't respond. It's like, "No, whatever, I'm going over it." And then it's like, "Oh, dear."
In fact, we played it together a bit, didn't we?
Yeah.
And there was at least a couple of games, there was someone who just went completely the opposite direction and either died or was nowhere near when the fight started, which meant because you're a person down, the chances are you're not going to win because the monster will be able to kill you. The point is the 4 people need to work together. I mean, for a start, how the fuck do you even buy this thing? There's so many different editions, it's like completely ridiculous.
It's fucking retarded.
It's just a DLC platform. The entire game is just a platform to release DLC. And in fact, the guy's even said, what's his name? Hang on, let me find his name. Phil Robb, that was it. I think it was. Said that, like, Evolve has been designed to, accept DLC easily. Like, to make it easy to shift DLC. So that, as they make stuff for the game, they can just put it in. And it's going to be the best game for being able to get DLC. Great, I can't wait to fucking play it now. Cheers for that statement. Yeah, I mean, we've made a game that is designed around constantly releasing a flood of DLC.
You've got to ask yourself,
a million editions.
Who would announce that, oh yeah, our game's designed to make as much money out of you as possible? It's like stupid. Well, this, ladies and gentlemen, is the Evolve website, right? This is the actual website, Evolve game, from what they call Turtle Rock. And it tells you about the digital version breakdowns, and it is a wall of text. And apparently they think a 0 is a bullet point, which is really annoying. So, yeah. I mean, I don't even... It's literally hurting my eyes to look at this much white on black text. It's killing me. It's just like... I mean, look, for the hardcore, the Evolve PC Monster Race Edition. This is for the gamer that is planning for the future and wants to save big bucks right now. No, you know what that sounds like? That sounds like when you load up a mobile game on your iPad and it's like, wow, best value, $89.99
yeah.
for like a billion
really
gold.
does.
It's like, what? The version of the game, I mean, this is, I mean, I can't, guys, I just don't even... Let's look at it this way. Why is it so complicated, right? Because they obviously want you to buy certain versions of the game, don't they? So you could see from the graph I brought up where it was telling you that the pre-order is the same as the standard edition. That's trying to say to you, but the pre-order, if you're going to buy the game, it's going to be $59.99. But if you pre-order, it's going to be $59.99. But we'll give you an extra skin or monster or whatever the Christ it was. So you get extra stuff.
Yeah.
But are you really getting extra stuff, ladies and gentlemen? No, you're just getting a skin or whatever.
Yeah.
So, but that would make you think, okay. But then you got different editions, haven't you? Then you've got things like the special edition, the limited edition, the fucking dickhead edition, and the super hardcore monster race Tyrannosaurus Rex edition. People will buy this, but I mean, obviously, you got to be a bit delusional to do that. I mean, I can't. I would like to see sales figures. Maybe I'm delusional saying that not a lot of people will do it, but I just don't. Why is it what?
Something that really I hadn't realised this, in fairness, until I saw. I think it was Jim Sterling was talking about it a while ago.
Well, he's the one who kicked the big fuss about the thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't realised this, but if you go back and check what he said Evolve is the only game he's seen where they actually advertised DLC for the game before they'd shown any footage of the game or even explained like what the game was. And when you go back and look at old press releases and stuff, they talk about new releases and new monsters and hunters before any footage of this game has even appeared. I mean, at first when he said it, I was like, no way, that's bullshit. Like, he must have misremembered that. No. You can actually go back through various websites, through like Eurogamer and PC Gamer and Rock Paper Shotgun, and press releases from Evolve are out talking about stuff you can buy before you've even seen what the game is. What the fuck is that? That is terrible. If you're buying into that kind of behaviour, then I have no sympathy for you. And when the game does collapse, because it's got no longevity.
I don't expect anyone who watches HOTFIX will buy this, or anyone who's a fan of Unit Lost will go out and just buy this, unless there was some sort of circumstance where they were playing it with friends or something, I don't know. But average Joe on the street in the UK is walking down the street. He doesn't really follow gaming news that much. He walks past Game, which is a shop in the UK, just like it's Electronics Boutique, a place in Australia, EB Games, I think it is, and I might be way out of the loop here, I don't know. And what's the one in America? GameStop. Yeah. So
yeah,
you walk. The guy's walking past, sees a big poster, Evolve, big dinosaur, and a guy getting out. Something goes in, looks at the box. Oh yeah, it picks up Evolve. Like, those people will pick up Evolve, but then what I would like to know is how many of them then go in and buy all of this DLC when they've got the game loaded up on their Xbox or God knows whatever they're playing it on. Because I don't think this is going to do very well on PC. Because like I said at the very start of this segment, the game it's just fucking boring. It is boring. It's a decent concept. Okay, last year from E3 and the year before I think as well, it was like, oh, look at Evolve. It looks nice graphically. It looks pretty nice. Monster looks nice. You know, the weapons play quite nice. But you know, it's essentially a sniper person, a medic, an assault, and like an engineering type trap guy, who I think can like tag the dinosaur. I keep calling them dinosaurs.
Yeah.
They basically are dinosaurs. It's all it is. It's like running around Jurassic Park shooting people. Well, shoot dinosaurs, not people. Like, so on the face of it, yeah, it looks pretty interesting. But straight away, everybody said immediately, you know, what about longevity? How is this going to work? Once you've done played a few maps, played as the monster, played as the classes a few times, are you really going to get more than 10 hours gameplay out of this? Probably not. But it's their job as developers to make you get more play out of it. And through all the shit I've played with the recent betas and stuff, they haven't. It's literally just running like
well, this is the thing as well.
It's not very interesting. The arenas are quite big, and there'll be like an objective, like the one I can remember is there was like a big dam, and the big monsters to smash the power thing off, and you've got to like defend it. But like even that is slightly dodgy because when the thing's evolved, it has to come and fight you, but you can kind of get ready for it, and you can kind of cheese it, and it's like, I don't know, it just.
I mean, this is the thing as well. There are probably people sitting there going, "Oh, well, you're judging it before it's out." Well, no, we're judging it because we played it, and we played it together, and we played it. And you see, the thing is, right? I'm I'm not going to say that it was boring or shit, because I had a good time, and then I turned it off. And you know what? I just was like, okay, done.
Yeah,
that was it. Yeah. That was it. I wasn't
Why
like,
would you
holy
go
shit,
buy
I've
the
got to
DLC?
play again. It was like,
why would you go? You're not going to go like, oh, okay, 10 quid for another map. Okay, let's go and buy this. Oh, yeah, hell, you ain't going to pay £10 for a map or $10 or whatever the hell it turns out to be.
Yeah.
You're just not going to do that. And I think this is it's pretty much a game that'll be not dead on arrival. I think it's enjoyable, but only briefly.
I think it'll do a Titanfall. I think it'll burn bright for a couple of weeks, and then it'll disappear. I think that's what's going to happen. And the thing is, it's...
Well, hang on. I mean, Titanfall is a little bit different. Like I'd say, I do agree with what you're saying.
Titanfall still does okay on the consoles, but it's the PC where it's collapsed, I think. PC does like Titanfall in matchmaking.
Like I play Titanfall for way more than I'll ever play Evolve. That is just because Titanfall is you're against other people. You know, it's an FPS. You know, I know you're against other people in Evolve, but one person's like the monster, and then you've got a team that who have to work together, and the games always play out the same. Whereas with Titanfall, it could be a bit different. You know, like you don't know what's going to happen. It's kind of like Call of Duty, fast-paced FPS type of deathmatch arenas type thing going on. But you are very right. Very much the same thing in like it's just a flash in the pan. You know, it's like, oops, it's on a Titanfall. Yeah. Like, what were we laughing about? We said it's on a Titanfall. Destiny, again, same thing. Not enough in the game. Yet they're always going on about DLC, DLC, DLC. Now, if you look at the videos we made on Destiny, fucking hell, we really like Destiny. I still like Destiny, but there ain't nothing to do in Destiny, so I don't want to fucking play Destiny. I don't want to just mindlessly grind the same shit for like hours and hours. It's like, no, they needed to have loads more content, and that's the problem I've got with Evolve. It doesn't have enough content, and
that's the thing.
Well, hang on, maybe it does have enough content, but they've just broken it all down to this stupid DLC.
I think the very basis of the game means that longevity is going to be an issue with it.
Yeah.
And I don't think the way to approach that issue of longevity is to just slam out DLC. And I especially don't think that you should be approaching DLC the way they've done it, because for them, the focus hasn't been on the game, it's been on what they're going to sell you when the game's released.
Well, if they're saying that before they showed you the game, then Jesus Christ.
I have an inherent distrust of anyone who sits there and says, here's the game, and here's all the stuff you can buy when we've released it. You can get this, this, and this, and we're going to release that, and we're going to do this, and then you can buy these skins, and you can buy that hunter. I don't sit there and think, oh, I can't wait for that. I think, hang on a minute, what the fuck? Have you put any, like, what is the actual base game? What is the base game going to be if all you're doing is planning for everything that's coming out afterwards? Like, how am I supposed to trust that you're going to do everything you should with the basic package of this game if all you talk about is all the stuff you can buy
Maybe it'll
after
do Tribes Ascend as well. This is another thing. I mean, like, so I gave the example of the 4 different types of hunters I messed around with. So if there's 12 when the game comes out, but if you buy the Monster Race edition, you get 18, right? So what happens if one of these is way more powerful than the other ones, or is just much better at the job? Like, say one of them is like some sort of super space surgeon, okay, way better than the medic, can do amazing shit or something, and like heal much faster. Could you then be in a situation, well, like, I guess they don't really care about balance. Maybe they do. Who knows? But with the Tribes Ascend comparison, they had the pulse plasma thing. I forget what it's called exactly, but it fired. Like Tribes Ascend is all about. Well, Tribes is all about firing the discs. Okay. Again, I forgot what they're called, but it's a lot of jumping around and the movement around the map. You need to ski and whatever. It's pretty hard. Yeah. It takes a bit of skill. But when you're firing at people, you have to try and guess where they're going to land because people are jumping around all the time. So you have to say, "Oh, you're going to land there. I'm going to fire. Oh, I've got you." You can't just fire it straight at them and get them because that would be like easy. They brought a gun into the game, which is this plasma thing, which just exploded proximity when it got near to people, and you could just fire it straight at them. So straight away, people would pay money for this. They'd come, you'd be having your little duel, you're firing your thing, trying to get them, and they just like straight into you, and you're dead. It's like, whoa, this is, and that was like a massive controversy. Now, is this going to be the same? Is Hunter number 15 going to be way better than Hunter number 12 who comes with the game, because Hunter 15 this is
something else that I don't understand as well, because they've got the setup that we had with the hunters that we played. You know, there was the medic, there was the trapper, there was the guy with the big heavy weapon, and there was the one who could like put down, what was it? He had like a shield thing that he could put on people as well. And he was a different class to the medic. Like one shield and one healed.
One of them trapped the monsters.
Yeah, one of them had a big web thing.
Fancy abilities, like, it wasn't just shit.
And they worked well together. But surely there's going to be an optimum composition of hunters, because I mean, if you all take hunters and none of them have got the trapping ability, well, the monster can just fuck off whenever it likes. Gone, goodbye. You know what do you do then? The monster just leaves, evolves, comes back, and kills you. And I don't know whether they can keep adding hunters without essentially just copying
the way it works
mechanics
in
over
team selection is you say what you want to play as. and like you put it in an order like 1, 2, or 3. So it'll always
Yeah,
build
yeah.
a team that is sort of got everything it needs. Like it won't just go like there's like, oh shit, we got
Well,
nothing. But I get what
In
you're
that
saying.
case, is
like,
that
you know,
worse? Is that worse
Well, it's
then that
forcing
you
you to
pay
play.
for extra? If
Well,
you
yeah,
pay
yeah, I guess
extra
it is, yeah.
if you pay money for extra hunters, and then the game is like, well, you've chosen this role, but with the composition that I've decided, you don't get to play with the hunter you've just bought. What the fuck? You'd be like, excuse me, game.
You know-
I just fucking pay money for this. Let me play with it. What the hell is this?
The only I'm using this term very lightly, but the only good thing they've done with this is everybody gets the same maps. Everybody gets 12 maps. Now look at Battlefield and look at Battlefield Premium and look at how that
God.
fragments the community away. And it's like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
you know, I loaded up Battlefield 4 a couple of weeks ago. Looked at Battlelog. There was no fucker on the servers. I'm like, what is going on? That is because I do not have the premium, so I don't have any of all the expansion packs, which like they want 20 quid for or whatever. So I'm like, what?
Yeah.
But if I change the filter on Battlelog, fucking hell, there's like loads of people playing, but they're all playing on like Endgame and Naval whatever, and I'm like, okay, I don't want to pay that. Go away. That's a problem with fragmenting the community. But again, that's the way they've decided to make money. And you know, if you were into the game, and Battlefield does very well, which by the way, Battlefield Hardline will be another capitulation of the year as well. But you know. So it's weird. I just think this is stupid, and I think Evolve isn't really going to do that well. I don't think it's a bad game, but it's just like you said, it's been built from the ground up on a foundation that is just not designed at all for longevity. It's like it's not going to be unless they were like every week we're going to get a new monster and a new arena, and but that's never going to happen. It's never going to happen.
Yeah, it's a combination of I don't think the game has got what it needs to last, and I don't think their attitude towards DLC is particularly inspiring or comforting. Frankly, I think it's just, I mean, the fact that he's, you know, they've made comments about how many things you can buy after the game is launched. I don't want to hear that. Like, I'd like to hear that the game will continue to be worked on, because that kind of makes me feel like they want to improve the game. I don't want to hear about how much shit I can buy after I've already paid. There's a subtle difference. Because in one of them, it makes them sound like they're doing it because they want to make the game better. In another, it makes it sound like they want to sell you shit. Which, I mean, you could give them points for honesty, but that still doesn't make it sound any better when you think about it. No. So,
it is a strange strategy to push DLC as like the main marketing thing. Like, ooh, loads of DLC.
Yeah.
It is weird. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to end it at that. So this has been HOTFIX. Now, yeah, it's got a little bit of a different look. This will probably be the way it'll look going forward. I think it looks a bit more modern. It doesn't look as cheap as the old HOTFIX layout. Obviously, the guest, I don't know whether that'll be in the middle or maybe I'll do it stacked and whatever. We'll see what happens. But as has always been the idea, this will be live streamed. Now, I'll just give you a quick update what's going on with that. I can't live stream at the moment. I can, but it's very, like, it's random the times I can do it. However, I'm hoping at least within 2 weeks' time that'll be sorted and I'll have a new place to stream. So every Thursday, HOTFIX will be most likely streamed then on the Twitch channel like we have done before. And we'll do our best to get guests on it as well. So yeah, any final words, Mr. Kirioff?
oh yeah, mate, if you've not watched any of the H1Z1 stuff we've done yet, which you probably have, but if you haven't, then go ahead and watch it. And also, the Armageddon video we did, not Armageddon, yeah, the Third War for Armageddon video we did.
Oh yeah, Dawn of War,
Space Marine.
Apocalypse.
Everyone needs to go and watch that because that was fun as hell, and it was absolutely massive, and it's got 4 Reaver Titans in it. So you should really go and watch it for that reason alone.
And runs at about 5 FPS, but whatever. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been HOTFIX with Stylos from Kirioff, and she's been Chunks McGee. We'll catch you next time, people. Toodaloo.